Ho fellas, PV2 Smurf here, and this is how I install my pocket door. Hey fellas, PV2 Smurf here. PV2 Smurf here, PV2 Smurf here. Ho fellas, PV2 Smurf here. I just want everybody to know I'm far from being a carpenter. I know there's a difference between a cobbler and a carpenter, and I'm not the first. I strive to be the last. I know this isn't my normal content, but this is just overly complicated. I'm going to simplify it for you. Big Blue Box Store full kit to install a pocket door. There's a bunch of people online that have done this kit. They really don't explain it well. Well, first video I ever put up, which you can see right here, was on how to do a 22RE rebuild, because I just felt the information that was out there was not very clear. So if you're tuning in right now, I appreciate it. But all I want to do is walk you through how to install a pocket door. The simplified version. As simple as possible, but as detailed as possible, because some of the details I found that really frustrates me is not in these directions. Because these directions with National, and this one I think is specifically 882 model number, these are not very clear. Hopefully this will give you some kind of idea, because it's really hard to show, hey, this is how you install a pocket door, because every situation is completely different. It's hard, as I've said, to try to put this door on here or show you step by step on how to do this, because everybody's situation is different. You may love the door that's on there and it's 34.5 inches wide. You may not have a door that's standard size such as that. You may have a door that's twice as big. Your walls may not be 2x4 on the inside. Your walls may be, I don't know, 2x6s because it's upstairs. Well, in that case, you just have to follow what I've said, know what's in the kit, and know how you want to modify it. So when you buy the kit, you know how you're going to modify it and change it, and so hopefully give you a good idea. We will be reusing the door I already had. My assumption is you may want to do the same thing, so this is right up your alley. As you can see, before these really got overwhelming, these are the before pictures. You have to clear out space for the door. In my case, I want to keep the original door framing, which is here. And all I'm going to do is add this pocket door to this side. Now, I'm fortunate that my finished floor is already there, which would be the hardwood spot you see right there. And all we're going to do is we're going to add our pocket door frame over here. Oh, I do want to add, if you're going to buy a Sawzall blade, get the longest one possible, because it really made it really easy to reach back in there to cut all that, as well as some boards that were on the bottom of the framing, to be able to cut that sufficiently. To me, you just couldn't get a long enough one to be able to do it. This one is complete toast, so we're going to toss it, but the longer the better. Now, if you just got a short one, just want to get a short one because you're not confident in yourself, that's fine. You'll be much happier with having too long a one than having too short a one. Yeah, that's what she said. Trash this. I just want to show you specifically on these directions here. It says, like right here, it says to do it, all you do is you take your door width, you times it by 2, then you add, for this one, 1¼ inches. Another thing it says to see table and figure 1. Determine the rough opening width. Okay. There's nothing is labeled, says figure 1 or table. There's a table. There's a table. These are all for 6'8" doors. Anyway, this is overly complicated, so I'm just going to simplify it for you. One, when you're looking at this thing and you're trying to determine your size, my idea is you really don't need that many inches in between the top of the door and see where it says A here on the right, and then see where the top of the bracket is. You really don't need that space that's in between right here. I mean, you may, but I don't feel it's necessary. Not for a non-load bearing wall. Load bearing wall is a little different, but for just a partition wall, you really don't need that space. There's no point in cutting all that out. You really don't need that. My door specifically is this height and this width. Well, I specifically have a smaller door because the door swung so close to the toilet. This specific setup, But in the future, I may want a standard size door, so I'm going to make a standard size door and we're going to modify it so that way it works. This may be your case, the math, it will be 48 and 7/8 inches. Well, that means I'll have to custom cut the header piece that you hang it on and all this other stuff, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make mine exactly, use the 2-foot door, which is 48 inches, and we're going to do it that way.
You're going to measure the door, the width of the door, the height of the door. You want to do this before you move anything, because what we're going to do is we're going to times that width by 2, and we're going to roughly measure over and make sure you have enough room before you begin this project. It's very critical. After we measure the door and we get the distance, next thing you want to do, such as in my case, the door was shimmed out well over about 4 inches, 5 inches altogether. That's 4 or 5 inches that, or more, yours could be more, that I didn't need. And so that's the reason why we want to measure this out first. Make sure we have enough room before we remove the trim. Don't cut anything yet. Pull the trim off. Once you pull the trim off, then you will measure from the frame. We're going to use the door frame stud in the wall, and you're going to measure that over because that's where we're going to mount everything to, so you measure off of that. Twice the width plus whatever the directions called for. Even if you're off a little bit by the extra width, that's not a big deal, because you could, in behind the wall right here, as I did, I added a piece of foam that you would use for insulation, and all I did was just put a screw in it so that way when the door opens really hard it doesn't slam against the wood. Studding this into the wall, instead what it does is it manages to just hit the foam in the wall, and it's very solid, it doesn't move, and I don't have to worry about damaging the door. In this case, if somebody does have a kid, you want to make sure that you have some kind of buffer there, because you don't want to slam in the door and then run on the edge of the door and then having to go back and replace it or paint it. Same way if you have a dog. You have a dog, big breed of dog, he comes through there, he pops that door open because he's playing with you, or just got the zoomies. You want to make sure that the doggo doesn't crack the door on the stud there and ruin it. So if you're off a little bit, that's not a big deal. You can always shim over there on this side, so that way you don't have to add any studs into that, and it's just a cavity in the wall, so there's no big deal.
So here's the pocket door box that I got. These directions, what really got me was, nobody really looks at the box, they figure all this stuff is on the directions, right? You know, it tells you about the door, tells you how to put the door on. It tells you on the box it's 5/8 inch vertically adjustable on this hanger. Yet it doesn't tell you that in the directions, but it's on the box. Go figure. This is what comes inside of the box. I want to show this because the directions are really not clear. So the metal framing, that you only get 4 of those, and so I turned it over so you can see the back is metal. One end goes flush with the metal. The other end sticks above the metal because it's made to be screwed into the header. So when you make a cut, you want to cut the metal that much shorter. The distance on that, 1 7/8, 1 and 15/16, however you want to call it. But you want to cut those shorter because this goes over the railing of this. The hardware that comes with the kit is this hanger is already on here. This hanger you do not remove, as you can tell that one apparently got bent in the box, so we can straighten it up. The hardware that comes in the box, these are your door hangers. These actually mount on the door, which we'll get to. Through them, nails and their spiral on the end. See the spiral screws. These are number 8 screws, I believe. This is the stopper for the door, which we'll be using something similar. Might modify and use this one. The tracks. So these truck/tracks right here actually have 4 wheels. All those ones I've seen have 3. 2 on one side, 1 on the other. Well, these actually have 4. So the hanger goes on the other end after you cut and modify it. These are guides for the door that go in, so that way the door stays centered. Other screws, wrench to adjust it with. These set and get screwed to the floor. There's two of them. This is our header piece. So if you have a standard size door, exactly where the cut on this is. As you can tell, you do not cut the top on this end. Cut the top board on the opposite end. So if it's a 24-inch door opening, then you'll trim this here. Now the directions say to now secure this piece that goes on here with two 5/8" screws. Secured it by putting a screw there. You can put a nail in there, and that just kind of holds it. And you want to do about halfway, so that way if you have to raise this up or lower it down, you have wiggle room. To get that, you just secure this in here. Then the door, the rest is pretty self-explanatory for the door and how to mount these pieces on. I did not take into account thickness of this and that and how much it'd be when it snapped together, so I end up having to take, as you can see here, originally had to mark here, which would have been right, but that doesn't account for the distance of those pieces, so I had to scoot it up. Once I got it scooted up, trimmed a little more on these studs. Then we get this thing set in here. The way I did the leveling was laid it on the wood, which if you pulled and pried on this, it won't be straight. However, I was able to take a little bullet level, lay it up in here, make sure this piece is level. Alright, so you can see I got the header board installed up here. Back part installed up here. So the studs that were in the wall, secured screws underneath here. There's a place to secure screws. As you can see there. Installed those screws, made sure that this piece is level. Then the floor the same way. I just let the door slide back. You can see the brackets in here, secured them to the floor. These pieces slide down in there. Remember metal facing the back. Make sure those are level. Now these are made out of metal, so they are ferrous, so you can't stick the metal part or the magnet part back. Make sure those are secured there. And them up. Then I pre-drilled, so I didn't have to worry about where the so I pre-drilled, so I worry about it splitting this wood. As you can see, that's how far I was off originally. I run this up. Yeah, I could have brought this over to here, but to me it doesn't really matter. I made a mark on the sheetrock above, so I know where the center line is, so that when I put the sheetrock on here, it'll go, and I'll know exactly where this is at, and this is level. Did that for both of them. This is the opening that you'll actually see, this mark here. So if you want to make yours a little longer, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. Did that. And then on the front piece, it's identical. When you do this bracket to hold this door, this piece, and the other piece, same way, but they have these guides that go in here. So after I got that, as you can see, this door kind of shuts back in here a little bit. More and more I like it shut back in. I'd like for it to shut about straight across like that. As you can see, there's a gap. Right here's the bumper that comes with it. Now I could space that bumper out, put a spacer, anything in behind it, and it's got a nail in it. Just nail that back there, and then it'll get it where you want it. And basically that's it. So you saw that pocket door. The facing goes on after this. I'm gonna do it when I do the trim of the room. And just like that, the door. Now this is not my typical content, but you know what? I'm hoping that maybe this will help somebody out some. Maybe they'll be excited to be able to put their own pocket door in. So if I helped you out a little bit, leave me a little love down there by letting me know. If I didn't, my apologies. Sorry if I confused you. Sorry if I rambled. But I really appreciate y'all tuning in. So thanks for watching.